You've done all the sums, the loan has been approved, and you've planned your budget. But somehow, you're still stuck and can't move forward. Then the headlines come in, the war, oil prices, interest rates all going up, and you think, maybe this is not the right time. But what if I told you, waiting just 5 years could cost you $150,000 in affordability, meaning you used to be able to get a $1.15 million loan, but just 5 years later, you can only take a $1 million loan. So that means you can only buy a smaller apartment, even if property prices don't go up. And that's not even the worst part. Waiting for just 5 years will cost you $500,000 in retirement funds. Stay till the end and you'll see this in action. Most people never explain this to you. Can I be direct with you? It's not that you cannot afford the property. And it's definitely not because you don't have enough information. Most people I spoke to already did everything. They checked the numbers, compared different options, and even shortlisted the units that they like. But still, no action. Because every time you're about to decide, you hesitate. Something always comes in. Prices feel high. Suddenly there's a war, and you hear someone say, now is not a good time. And immediately, you pull back. You tell yourself, prices are already so high. Is it still worth it? What if I buy at the wrong time? Then all my friends will laugh at me. Or maybe just wait and see. But let's be honest, this is not careful thinking. This is hesitation without good reason. You think you're being safe, but what you're actually doing is delaying a decision you already know that you need to make. So the real problem is not the market. It's that you don't have the conviction. And before you say, no, I'm just waiting for the right time, let me ask you something. When has it ever felt like the right time? Now let's talk about what's really happening here, because this part, most people never realize. Your brain is not designed to make good property decisions. It's designed to keep you safe. So every time you're about to make a big move, like upgrade, take a loan, commit, your brain just goes into defensive mode. It starts scanning for danger and asks questions like, what if prices drop? What if the economy crash? What if you regret it? And the problem is, our brain doesn't give us balanced scenarios. It gives us the worst case scenarios every single time. And that's why every period feels like the worst time to buy. During COVID, people say, wait. During rate hikes, people also say, wait. And now got war, and with the oil prices hitting the roof, again, wait. It's always something. So if your brain is always telling you, this is dangerous, when will it ever tell you that it's safe? If you keep listening to that voice blindly, you will always delay, which is why we cannot totally rely on how we feel. We have to look at actually what is happening. Now let's put our feelings aside for a moment and just look at the data and the facts. Because every time there's a crisis, people will say the same thing. This time it's going to be different. The market is really going to drop and then crash and burn and will never recover. Let's look at the actual headlines from those periods. 2009, most severe recession in Singapore history. Property prices could fall 35 to even 45%. 2014, prices expected to dip 5 to 15%. 2015, 60% of developers foresee a drop. 2016, prices could fall every quarter. 2020, the COVID. So prices expected to continue heading south. All are negative, all convincing, and all sounded very logical at that time. But now, look at what actually happened. Prices dipped, recovered, and continued moving up over time. Not fast, not dramatic, but steady. And this is the key thing. Property does not behave like stocks. Stocks react immediately. With fear, prices drop. News can cause a lot of volatility, but property moves slowly because it's driven by real demand, real people, and real affordability. So while the headlines feel urgent, but actually the market is not reacting with the same panic. Every crisis feels like the end of the world sometimes, but the data always shows otherwise. So let's ask ourselves this question. Are we investors or traders? Should we be reacting to the property market like how traders react to the stock market news? I don't think we should, because we'll be making a short-term decision on a long-term asset. But most of us always treat property like trading. Buy now or not. Next few months, will it go up or down? But realistically, you're not holding for 6 months. You're holding for 10, 15, or even 20 years. Which means short-term noise doesn't matter as much as you think. What matters is the time in the market. Because property grows slowly, around 4% a year, it doesn't sound like a lot. But over time, that's where the real growth comes from. Please click here if you would like to see how you can start with just one HDB and end with 4.3 million in retirement funds. So the best thing to do is don't try to time the market, but stay in it long enough for time to do the work. Now let's bring this back to you, because this is where it becomes very real. Same income, same profile. At age 35, you can afford a certain price range. But 5 years later, without doing anything wrong, your affordability drops by about 150,000. Same salary, but suddenly you can afford less because the bank gives you less time to repay the loan. So your loan gets smaller. Time didn't just pass. It reduced your options. And most people don't even realize that this is happening. They think, I wait first lah. It's safer that way, or at least it feels safer. But actually, every year that they wait, their position is getting weaker and weaker. You're not standing still. You are moving backwards. Now let's go one step further, because this is where it hits your monthly expenses. Same property, about 1.5 million. If you buy at 35, your monthly installment is about 4,700. This is 3% interest rate. If you wait till 45, it becomes about 6,200. And that's almost $1,500 more every month. Same property, same price. The only difference is you waited. Because now the loan tenure is shorter. Everything gets compressed. So what used to feel manageable starts to feel tight. Not impossible, but stressful. So when you say, let me wait first, it feels safer that way, are you really reducing risk or increasing pressure later? Honestly, this is still not the biggest problem, because the real cost is time. When you delay buying by 5 years, you are not just delaying the purchase, you are delaying compounding as well. And in property, time is where the money is made. Seen two people, one buys today, one waits 5 years, but at the end of the 30 years loan, the one who waits makes 500,000 lesser. As you can see from the chart here, that difference becomes very big over time. So you lose 500,000, not because of a bad decision, but because you didn't make one early enough. The 5 years doesn't feel very long, but financially it's doing a lot of work, either for you or against you. So the question is not, can I afford to buy now? But the real question is, can you afford to lose those 5 years? So when you put everything together, the headlines, the hesitation, the waiting, the reduction in affordability, the increase in monthly installments, and the loss of the 500K in retirement funds, you start to see the real risk. Most people think it's buying at the wrong time, but actually, the real risk is doing nothing. Because when you do nothing, there is no immediate pain. Everything feels safe, comfortable, but quietly, you're losing time. Your options become fewer, your flexibility reduces, and by the time you realize it, it's already much harder than before. So you're not deciding whether to buy or not. You are deciding whether to move forward now or fall behind slowly over time. So the question is not, is now the right time? Maybe the better question is, what happens if I keep waiting? And if you're in this situation right now, you've done your research, looked at the options, but you're still stuck at that final step, then maybe what you need is not more opinions, just clarity. Sit down with yourself, run through the numbers properly, look at your timeline, and understand what actually makes sense for you, not what the headlines are saying, and not what people online are saying, just your situation. And if you need some help, we can map it out together. No pressure, just to see clearly whether upgrading now actually puts you in a better position long term. Because at the end of the day, your property can be so much more than just a home. It's either working for you or working against you. So take care, see you, and we'll talk soon.